Despite Bitcoin falling $7,000 after hitting a new all-time high, Bitcoin is secretly bullish, and there's a lot happening behind the scenes that you have not heard of yet, and people just aren't talking about it, to be fair. But welcome back to the channel. My name is Brendan, and if you're new here, it is great to have you. This is going to be your one-stop shop for everything crypto related, and as I said earlier, Bitcoin is secretly bullish, and there's a lot happening behind the scenes here. When Bitcoin saw this new all-time high of $67,000, we saw a pretty nice sell-off. It wasn't massive. Again, we've seen a lot worse than this happen in cryptocurrency. It wasn't a big deal, but the reason that I think it took a lot of people by surprise is that people were expecting this blow-off top where Bitcoin would hit 70, 80, 90, maybe even $100,000 upon breaking this previous all-time high of $64,000. What ended up happening is we saw a nice little retracement back to a very solid support level. Unlike Ethereum, where Ethereum rejected its previous all-time high, Ethereum saw the breakout, but then the sell-off. Now, much like Ethereum, we saw major resistance broken, and we are again seeing a break, hook, and go formation happening. Now, what I mean by this major resistance level is that we had this massive channel forming on Bitcoin. We saw it bouncing from resistance to support to resistance, from support back to resistance until we saw this breakout. Now, when we saw the breakout again, people were expecting this massive blow off top, and it didn't end up happening. But I think the reason that it didn't end up happening here is because we had the breakout, we have the hook, and then we're going to have the go. So it's very possible that we're just seeing a break, hook, and go formation on Bitcoin. This has happened a lot in the past. It's not uncommon to see something like this. Again, we just saw this with the previous resistance level. When Bitcoin broke above this, we retested it as support, verified that it was support, shot to the next resistance level. Then what did we do next? We retested this area of support, broke past it, retested it, break, hook, and go. And this is just a rinse and repeat cycle. Bitcoin does this all the time. It's not uncommon to see something like this. And I think that it just caught people a little bit more off guard than it normally does. But with all this happening, volume isn't anything crazy. The daily chart is showing that the MACD and all the bearishness that we've had here on Bitcoin has, for the most part, dried up. If we even go to the 3-day, we can see that this massive double bullish divergence that we saw, it's not verified that it's over. Again, we just had our first little bit of pullback in a very, very long time on Bitcoin. Cutting over to the RSI, this is going to be one of the most bullish factors on Bitcoin because every time Bitcoin has approached this support level, it has bounced tremendously. This is where we saw the bottoms of the bear market. And yes, we did hit this level just a couple of months ago. And Bitcoin, if this continues to hold true, is not even halfway to its all-time high and not even halfway done with the bull market of what it's at right now. So Bitcoin could still have a lot of potential to the upside. Again, the previous two times that we touched the support level, it went to a monumental level on this RSI, fell back, went to another monumental high, fell back, and now I believe that we're just getting ready to rinse and repeat this cycle and see some massive upside on Bitcoin. We are tampering around that oversold territory, but again, I think that after we see a little bit of resistance here, maybe a little bit of a pullback, it's going to blow this top off, and that's where a lot of the real buying is going to come from on Bitcoin. Now, going back from this 3-day chart back to a 1-day chart, looking at just where we're at right now, I want to make one thing very clear. In a worst case scenario, there is still a ton of support layered all the way down on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin somehow breaks this support level where it's at right now, there are plenty of other levels, plenty. We have a pretty significant resistance level at 54,000, more below that at 52,000. Beyond 52,000, we have more at 50,000. Beyond that, we have 48,000, and so on and so forth. All of the EMAs are pointing upwards. We are above all of them on this daily time scale, which means that all of them will be used as support if Bitcoin does end up falling. I don't see a world where Bitcoin breaks out of its all-time high just barely enough to satisfy people and then falls back down to this crazy low, right? I don't see it happening. Worst case scenario, I see Bitcoin forming a higher swing low on a macro scale. I would be very surprised if it broke anything past $50,000. Maybe it could happen, but again, I'd be pretty surprised. Things are still looking bullish. The trend is your friend here. If Bitcoin is able, and I want everyone to understand this, if you're new to the technical analysis, if you see a rising channel, it's not every day that something breaks out of a rising channel and a rising pattern like this. Usually when you have a rising channel, things tend to break down out of it. In fact, people often label it as a bear flag. If something falls then forms a rising channel, it's often labeled as a bear flag. So the fact that, putting everything else aside, Bitcoin was able to fall from an all-time high, form a rising channel, and then break upwards out of it to a new all-time high is very telling of just how bullish this market is. And again, it's really only a matter of time until Bitcoin breaks this new all-time high and breaks into those $70,000, $80,000 areas, and it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time, in my opinion. I cannot say that enough. Again, nothing I say here is legal, financial, or tax advice in any way, but this is just the way that technical analysis works. This is the way that the history of Bitcoin has worked. I just don't see a world where this all-time high doesn't end up breaking, but that's without this. That's a little bit beside the point. We're starting to beat a dead horse. But going back to over here, volume doesn't look too bad. Volume's looking pretty strong. We're heading into this end of the year here. Again, quarter four for cryptocurrency tends to be a very, very bullish one. We see some of the best performances in crypto history happening in quarter four. We're not even towards the end of it yet, and crypto is going parabolic, despite a brief little pullback over the last couple of days. Even on the weekend, we're seeing buyers come in over here as they do feel fairly comfortable buying Bitcoin around 60 to 61,000. I am still playing this by ear. I am accumulating Bitcoin upon every pullback that it has. Again, I am investing in Bitcoin with the belief that it will hit a new all-time high. So if it's anything below this all-time high, and right now if we want to measure this out, we are about 9% from its all-time high. So that means that if Bitcoin was to approach its all-time high from where we are currently at, I would earn around 10%. And I have the belief that it will definitely go much higher than its all-time high of where it's currently at. So the more it falls, the more I see the kind of money signs popping up in my eyes as I want to invest, as well as a few other cryptos. But I want to take this time to look at some of the top performers in the market. Probably should have done this at the beginning of this video. One of the ones I want to highlight over here is Ethereum and Chainlink. Ethereum is up about 3.5% on the day. Chainlink up a monstrous almost 8.5%, just above 8% on the day. Seeing some rise from the meme coins as the dogs are making their return. We have 5% on Dogecoin and 21% on Shiba Inu, which is pretty impressive. So good for them. I'm not too fond of them, but if you made money, congratulations. Polygon's up about 6%. Cosmos is up about 6% as well. VeChain pushing 4%, and a couple of cryptos are in the red. Needless to say, still a very, very good week for cryptocurrency. I hope everyone stayed safe. I hope everyone made profits. Again, if you're new to the channel, consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed the content. We got a lot of stuff like this coming out all the time. So if you're new here and want to stay engaged, this is going to be the place to do it. With that being said, again, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.